afternoon, everybody. Welcome in. And I'd say some people, after the first couple of days, they don't say Happy New Year anymore. But it's the first time I'm working with Jim Scarcelli. So we say Happy New Year to him. Happy New Year, Scar.
1986, Danny. 40 years ago, I played my last game, and it just seemed like yesterday that played last one in the Fiesta Bowl 40 years ago. But college football is in a good place. Michigan football is in a good. You know what I like about college football, Danny? I know there's a lot of people that there's a lot of things they don't like.
Yeah,
I like that you're seeing, because I was a high school coach who had guys recruit kids, and then the big guys would say, "Oh, he's a little short. Oh, his hips are a little stiff. He's about a 4'8". I need 4'6". There would always be that one measurable that they would not recruit the kid. The MAC schools wouldn't take them. The big schools wouldn't take. Anyway, now you're seeing guys that are going from Saginaw Valley, to Colorado, or you see the Harvard kid, the quarterback playing at Harvard, going to TCU. You're seeing Ferris State kids, a lot of Ferris State kids bumping on up. So I like the meritocracy of what you're seeing with college. Some of these guys that, I used to get pissed off that these guys would overlook them, and you're seeing that. I like that. And I also I know people are tired of hearing me talk about Curt Cignetti, but I think you're going to see more and more, Danny, I think you're going to see more and more proven guys that have to have worked and proven themselves at smaller levels. You're going to see less and less born on third base type of guys given a job. So I like that. Denny, I'm loving I really like our head coach. The more I research it, I'd rather have this guy than DeBoer or Dillingham. I'm telling you, I just really like this coach. He's bringing in great assistants. I like where we're headed, man. 2026 going to be a good year.
Well, I like to hear that. I'm not here to argue any of those points. I would, for me, I remember it's been a long time, college basketball, and it seemed like college basketball was just, it was really down a notch because you didn't know guys, first, they would just, they come in for 1 year, then they're gone, and then you wouldn't know anybody next year on the team. There wasn't that familiarity. I hated that. I thought it was bad for the game. I think there's a lot of people that are like that. They don't have, you like to know that a guy, this is a freshman. Oh, I remember a local kid, and then and then here he is popping up in his second or third year, or even fourth year. It's a transition, I think, for fans, but I got used to it with basketball. If you can embrace just the upcoming year and just understand that half of the team, or I don't know, 25% of the team, there's going to be some changeover. And at a place like Michigan, it might be tough. You talk about some of these other places that they're not able to replace their good players. So you're always raiding from a lower school or something, but it's an adjustment for fans. But people were, Michigan had kind of the double whammy. They get a new coaching staff. You're going to lose players automatically because of that. You're probably going to bring some in, but then you had to transfer portal. So a little bit of two-way of losses coming at you, but they look like they're hanging in there.
Yeah, Danny, looking at that list, and we're going to look at it, there's only a couple guys on there. And you also have to remember this, that a good player in one system can be a great player in a different system. And a great player in one system can be only a good player in a different system. So when I look at it, to be honest with you, I look at Sprague, okay? I've been looking at a lot of Utah film. They really want to pull guys. I think he'd rather have smaller, athletic offensive linemen. He pulls all of them. Guards, centers, tackles. They run a lot of gap scheme and they pull everybody. Sprague's a good player.
Yeah.
But he's not pulling with the athleticism what I'm seeing from the Utah guys. So we don't know what our coaches know in terms of what they want in their offensive linemen. They know exactly what they want. Okay. And we also don't know what's available. Sprague may want, $1.5 million. We don't know the number he's asking for. But our coaches know what the kid who started at Utah wants. You know what I mean? To come here, who they think may be better and more athletic, or the type of kid, because I know I ran a system in high school. I wanted athletic guards. Some guys don't want to, it's a different system. I had to have guards that could run and pull for my system. So looking at their film, there's different type of guys that we don't know. Anyway, that's just something that's out there in terms of, we don't know what they want athletically and all their different position groups. Now, Sullivan can play anywhere. So he may be just, bobbing and weaving and negotiating. He's a damn good football player, and Guarnera too. But we don't know. We don't know which centers are available inside you know what I mean? We don't know that. Strayhorn and these guys are juggling, Denny. They're juggling. And we don't know who else they're looking at and have made connections with, this big lineman at who knows where, Purdue or TCU that wants to get out. We don't know.
All of this kind of plays off of each other. We've already mentioned the staff, and we'll take a closer look at what Kyle Whittingham is put together here. It looks like he's got the finishing touches on his first staff at Michigan. Scar's already mentioned some Utah film. Maybe he'll throw some up here, and we're discussing the portal. But my count 16. I just noticed the fans, when you do get one of the good players that go in there, automatically they think, why would Sprague, who's starting, want to leave? And so, but there's a number of reasons. You already mentioned the one side with the coaches. They might not have wanted him, that it might not have been a fit, but also Sprague might be, his eyes might be getting bigger for some money elsewhere. And then, he also could have had an attachment with his whoever recruited him, wherever it's, I think he's Texas, Missouri, he's looking at, and so when the uncertainty, Whittingham didn't come in until last week or whatever, there was a gap there where everybody was calling him, and the people that he knew, I can understand why there are going to be some guys that are looking elsewhere. I don't know, Sullivan, it also could be a scheme fit for him, but you say he could fit in any scheme. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm watching what they do. I think he can play anywhere, but he may have. Then these guys are listen, man. These guys are getting offered a lot of money, man. I'm just telling you right now, they're getting offered a lot of money. We're not hearing these figures, but I have a friend that knows a kid who's was with Prime, and now he's got some people looking at him, and big numbers, man. So this might be their only shot to get paid and get set up for life. So these guys are looking at things, and I'm looking at Underwood here. You got his, and the Detroit News had, the front page that Witt is optimistic that Bryce returns. So nothing's confirmed. He's optimistic, but people have to understand this Utah offense is different than what we ran. Kyle Whittingham coached under Urban Meyer, and listen, he went through 5 quarterbacks last year, okay? Because he runs the hell out of them. He runs the hell out of his quarterbacks. He believes in that. So you put on the film.
What would you call his offense?
I would call it power spread. Urban Meyer called it single wing. He used to refer to his offense. A lot of the guys, I know what the hell single wing football is. It's like 1920. Right. Fielding Yost, but that's, I understand why he uses that term, because it's basically snap the ball to a guy who could run or pass is what they did 100 years ago. Single, and there's so many things that are coming back with some of the faking and stuff that they did 100 years ago. People think these guys are inventing it. They're just copying stuff that was done years ago. But anyway, we see the Central Florida kid's name in there, but I firmly believe that he is going to bring in another quarterback. He's going to have, to run what he wants to run, I think he has to have a couple quarterbacks ready to go in that system, because he believes more in what Jim and a little more orgy type stuff with whoever the hell the quarterback is. So the defense, every down has to defend it. But I really like what they do on offense, Denny. There's a lot of shifting, a lot of formations. They beat the hell out of Nebraska, okay? And if you think that they beat them by 30 because they have better players, I'm sorry, I don't think so. I think they really outcoached them. I thought offensively, what Utah does gives defenses problems. There's a ton of formations. There's a ton of shifting. There's quarterback run in any and all situations. He runs wildcat. So he stresses the defense mentally to adjust to a ton of formations while always having quarterback run damn near every down you have to defend. So there's a lot of good things they do offensively that gives make guys coach, put the defense, get them uncomfortable. So
I've got a burning question for you, and then we're going to take some of this feedback. We always appreciate the people getting in. We're live at 2:00. People have questions. They have points that they want to make. You already mentioned Sullivan and Sprague. So by my count, it was 16 that I was just looking at of guys that have put their name in the transfer portal. Key losses, if we were making a list, Sprague and Sullivan would be on that list. Any of the other players, Garnera, you mentioned him. I would put him as at least, we don't know that he's a key loss yet. He could be in there, like you say, negotiating. So there's 3. Any of the other players, Zeke Berry, Priestcorn, would you put them as key losses? Or
it all depends on what we bring in. Like if we told everybody, okay, look, you guys, you know what? We're going to lose Guarnera. But you know what? We're bringing in Olu Oliundaway from you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did we get better? Did we get better or did we get worse? Answer that. Did we get better?
Yeah,
I'd say we got better.
Olo Atiba, yeah, they'd get better.
He's playing for the Seahawks. So those are the questions we don't know. So again, when we talk about Sprague may want to go back home. May want to play in Missouri. And but again, we don't know how much he wants. We don't know what the budget is for these coaches, and we don't know who else he's looking at. For right tackles. He's got Babaloa. He's got Babaloa. He has Link. He has. You know what I would have did, Denny, if I got the job at Michigan. What I would have told all my assistants. Grant Newsome and Elford, I would have told all my assistants, okay, here's $1 million. I want you to distribute that money with every player in your room. So I can have an idea how you value each guy, only the returning players. You know what I mean? So I know what you think of all these players in terms of how good are they? How do you value every offensive lineman in your room, every linebacker, blah, blah, blah. So Whittingham would have an idea what those guys that have been with them all year, 2 years, what they would think of those players. But I wouldn't get overly emotional about Sprague in there because again, he may have a better kid that fits his system better that he knows he can get. We don't know these things.
Right. And they're not done. They can go out there and they can attack the portal. As somebody says, it's a two-way portal. So you can leave, and you can also bring in guys. Here's Michigan Go Blue 1324. He says, with how many guys are leaving, we will be lucky to win 8 games. What's your thoughts there?
I don't agree with it, man. It's all about how good of a job he does. Because so many of them guys on that list, Denny, I said the only ones that are really of any significance, in my opinion, that are Sprague, Guarnera, and Sullivan. The rest of them, I think, are easily replaceable with guys on our roster. They couldn't even, they were second string guys. So I'm not sweating it. This is another one of the hats, Denny, that a head football coach has to wear now. You look at these teams playing. Big Hoss, our buddy, sent me a stat on these 4 teams that are left. They've all got of their 22 starters, they're 13, 14 of them is the average that are transfer guys. Yeah, Urban did go through QBs. You remember the year he went through a lot of QBs because he ran the hell out of his quarterback, but it was hard to defend. So that one year he won a national championship. He had JT Barrett. He had
Cardell Jones.
Cardell Jones, and he started out the year with the other guy, the best one. What the hell was his name? I had him written down here. I can't think of that other guy. But he went through 3 quarterbacks and won a national championship. And, that's – and in fact, I always felt that was one of the things that I was glad when Ryan Day got the job. He didn't believe in running his quarterback so much. Denny, it was obvious that he wanted more of a passer. He wanted to have highly skilled receivers and recruit, saying, hey, we're going to throw the hell out of the ball. But I think, Urban Meyer was more average passer, real good runner. You know what I mean? Ryan Day, real good passer. We're just going to try to keep him healthy.
Here's Mars saying that he thinks Alex Whittingham, that is the linebacker coach, and Kyle's brother, is going to Pennsylvania today to talk to Sullivan and his family. Now, I just said Alex. We should make sure. I want to. There's 2 Whittinghams. Alex is his son. Okay. The other Whittingham is. Let me see. Somewhere on there. Maybe I just have maybe I didn't put them all on there. Let's start with this defensive staff and take a look at it. So
I really like it. Denny J. Hill has been with he's been with Whittingham. That's their defense. That's Whittingham's defense because they both run the same defense. I watched BYU this past. We're going to look at the BYU Utah game, and they both run essentially structurally the same stuff. So anyway, he's been with Whittingham. Doesn't have to. There's no guesswork. He knows exactly. They've been together for a long time. I think he played for them, coached with them. They'll finish each other's sentence. They know how each other's thinking. So he's a proven defensive coordinator. They do some good things schematically. They adjust well. They give you. It's the same. Listen, it's the same kind of stuff that damn near everybody wants to do. We want to give you a ton of looks, try to confuse the offense with a ton of looks while being sound. And playing great run defense and all the little things by giving people different looks and creating conflict. So he's a proven defensive coordinator at a big level. Him and Whittingham are on the same page. There's no guesswork there. The defensive back coach is, I think he's a former coordinator, right, Danny? Where the hell was he at? But it was at BYU.
He's been there for a while. They have statistically been fantastic, picking off the ball. He's had an excellent year. Guilford, just looking at him, I like what I saw there. I wanted to ask you, because if you just look and say, hey, what kind of defense does Jay Hill run? It wasn't a 3-4. They were putting out a 4-2-5. And I wondered, so immediately that made me think, well, Sullivan probably wants to play somewhere in a 3-4. I don't know.
Danny, we'll look at the film. You're going to see a ton of our old stuff.
Okay.
Against BYU, they're in our base defense, a good part of the game. 3 defensive linemen, 2 big edge players. So there's the only little difference I'm seeing is in Wink's nickel package. Braxton Miller, that's the guy. That's the dude they started the season with. All 3 of them were. You could see what Urban Meyer wanted in a quarterback. So if you watch Utah play, I think Witt has a similar mindset. And so that's what I think, Denny, is a big thing going on in Underwood's head, is that they've had that talk. He's been looking at film. He's seeing how much how many predetermined runs Whittingham likes to run. And our Beck, our offensive coordinator, it's noticeable, and Underwood is going to have to decide that. So, but getting back to it, Denny, okay, so then we got Espo coming back. It's kind of good to have Espo in there. I mean, he's seen everybody in our league, but a question I also had, I wondered about, is if these guys all have contracts. I don't know how much Michigan has to eat. damn Witt's making, or Biff, not Biff, Wink is making $2.5 million. Are we on the hook for that? Are we on, that $2.5 million? Some of these guys that did not get hired. Anyway, I just wondered if
I would say that they will be on the hook unless the Wink gets another job, and then there's that offset language where they'll recoup some of that money.
Yeah, I just wonder if that was how Ward and him talked about trying to keep extra coaches to keep our losses down, that you could spend enough. I don't know, but I've heard good and bad, good things about Espo. Some guys aren't that high on him, but it looks like if you do the math, then he kept guys. He didn't keep anyone that Jim Harbaugh hired. Espo and Alford were both hired by Sharon Moore. So you take that, whatever the hell that means. The edge guy, I thought his edge players were really good. He's been with Kyle forever. I think he played for him, and so they're gonna. It looks like they got this thing divvied up like the way I played. You got a defensive line coach, Espo. I have the 3 inside guys, and then we had an outside backer, edge guy. That'll be Lewis's thing. And then the defensive back coach who will have another guy with him, a linebacker coach. And then maybe an analyst, I think, is going to help Guilford. But then you have Hill will be a walk-around coordinator, so he doesn't have a position.
Mm-hmm. And then Guilford played at BYU, so he didn't play for Whittingham. And he went from Southern Utah to then 2016. He's been at BYU ever since. But he's had good secondaries there. So
then you look at Whittingham's kid. I mean, heck, you coach with Andy Reid and so who's that guy over there running his defense? Damn good coordinator.
Bags.
Yeah. You talk about a guy that's worked under good people, man. So, and he gives you, he's a ton of look, confusing, chaotic, mess with people. So all, on hoof, man, Denny, they're going to stop the run. That's what he talked about, running the ball and stopping the run. And on the hoof, you got to look at it and say, looks pretty good.
Smash wants to know how you'd be divvying up the money.
Well, see, that's the thing, man. Those guys, that's what I mean about. I see them on game day, like our tight end room. Let's just take tight end. I mean, I don't see them like our coaches see them. I know when I coached, man, I know everything about that kid. I know every damn thing about every player. How do they practice? Will they play banged up? Are they hurt all the time? Do they make mental mistakes? Because a lot of times when we watch the film, we don't see mental mistakes. You know what I mean? We don't see some stuff but man, I'd have to put some real thought into it and look at every position group to determine the value of each group. I know I'm not answering the question, but I guess what do you want to talk about? Tight end, Denny? I don't know. Who are some of the tight ends back? We've got Prescorn. Obviously, he's in the portal, but he couldn't get on the field.
He's been hurt though. That's the one thing about him. I mean, he was the highest rated, but he got hurt jumping around for the MSU or the Ohio State game last year. So never really had a shot.
Yeah, it's just so hard for me to do that as a guy on the outside. But I think that's what I would have done. I know I'm not answering the damn question, Denny, but you want to talk about the offensive?
Give me 1 minute to put it in here. You can go through, answer a couple questions. You give me 1 minute to put the offensive staff up. I was looking through all these, and I put 2 defensive ones up there, but I fixed it while you were talking there.
Well, the base defense is what we ran in more of when teams bring in big bodies. We'll have 3 D linemen, 2 big edge players, 2 linebackers, and 4 DBs. Okay, when we're in nickel, which many times we're in nickel, we take out a defensive lineman. That's Michigan's adjustment. So yeah, Espo is supposed to be a great recruiter. But that's the word on him.
And you think Underwood, just based on you saw the story, and as we sit here right now, it looks like he is going to be back. People keep asking that.
Well, he has to make those decisions. But I'll take a bet right now that he brings in another quarterback. He's going to bring in a proven quarterback. Okay. So we've got a bunch of young guys. You've got Herb Street. You got two freshmen, the Carr kids, Spiegel, and I don't even know what else is left there. But so he's going to bring in a proven quarterback, and for what he wants to run, you better have guys that can run the damn, run that offense.
Yeah, maybe Mikey Keene, if he tries to get a sixth year, gets a medical. I mean, he could be in the mix, but you don't know what they think of him.
I don't know.
Here's that offensive staff with Beck right up top. 1 year as the offensive coordinator at Utah. I don't know why it says BYU here.
Yeah, Danny, when I look at Beck, and I've looked at some of their film, how I would evaluate an offensive coordinator is, does he give me problems? Do his teams, do they execute? Do they play hard? Do they block the right guy? Are they a problem for me to line up and defend and adjust? I defended guys that had great players, Notre Dame, all these great teams that were just vanilla, no imagination, technique below average, kick their butt. And then I've defended guys that have below average players that give you formations and shifting and personnel groups and headaches. They win with smart kids. So when I look at what they run, Danny, I think we are really going to test defenses mentally. So that's why they score. That's why they beat the hell out of Nebraska. Okay. They put 44 on Nebraska with similar talent. Those teams were similar in talent, that football game. So Beck, he wants to spread it. He wants a formation. He wants a shift. He wants a motion. He wants to confuse the defense, and he wants to run the damn quarterback at any and all times. Okay, Harding. Well, well, someone once said if you run, you better damn well have two, and if you're smart like Urban Meyer, you got three. Who won a national championship with three?
I think you're that someone, Scar. I think that's who he's talking about.
What's that?
You're the someone. Because you always say that.
Well, you're damn right. If you better have a couple if you're going to run your quarterback. Anyway, Harding, I watch his players. They pull the hell out of their linemen, man. It's a little different than Michigan. Look, we pull guys, but they really, really look like he emphasizes athleticism maybe a little more. Okay, but I see their guys play hard. They play tough. Big tight ends, they got dudes in there playing tight end that look like defensive linemen, like the John Harbaugh mold, the big 300-pounders, guys that he has at tight end. And great to have Alford back. The most important thing, the greatest thing I like about Alford is his damn running backs secure the football, Denny. They secure the ball. They run hard, they pass protect, they secure the football. So it's great to have him back. And Simon's been with Whittingham for a long time. He's got his, they got a good receiver there. Maybe we're going to try to get, but his brother Freddie's been with him like 10 years. Recruiting, yep. good recruiter. And I said earlier, I played against him. He played on that '84 BYU team. So I'm looking forward to meeting him and giving him some mess about that game.
Good stuff. I apologize. I put Jason Beck. It should say Utah next time. That's where he was at last. I got my, the BYU and Utah are not interchangeable. It seemed like with this staff. So that was my mistake that I put it up here. Here's somebody dropping a bag on you, Scar. And he says that he is more, this is Jester's jinx. He is more concerned with what Michigan's going to do with their DBs. I want them to drop 8 and have a spy with exotic looks. That's what Jay Hill did at BYU. Do you think?
Yeah, I seen some of that. I seen some.
Scally did. Go ahead.
Yeah, Danny. I seen some rush 3 near the goal, like in the red zone. Wink did some of that too. He'd rush 3 at times. I don't think they make a living on it, but it's in the package. The package. Look, the package I'm seeing is a whole. When I say base, I mean 3 down linemen, 2 big edge players, 2 linebackers, 4 defensive backs. I see a lot of that when they played BYU, a lot of that when they played Nebraska. And then when they want to go nickel, it looked like they took an edge guy out or they put him down. It looks pretty damn similar to what Michigan did, but they have 3 guys with their hands on the ground. Wink would have 2, Wink, Minner, and McDonald. Our nickel package would have 2 stand-up edge players because both of them could potentially be droppers. Denny, it's hard to drop when your hand's on the ground. You follow me?
Sure.
In pass coverage. So that was schematically, structurally, one of the only things I see differently with what the packages are. But we're going to have 2 big edge guys that are coached up pretty damn similar to what we've been doing.
If I could jump in on the quarterbacks one more time, it sounds good. All of us just sitting around talking about, bring in another quarterback. Competition is great. Last year, it was a good idea. I have seen the teams that are in the pros that have had success. I think about the Eagles. You just keep throwing as much as you can at the quarterback position, and if you get one that's good, you've really made out. Last year, Michigan couldn't get a quarterback to come in here because they didn't want to compete with Underwood. Now, you can say, well, how much money are they going to allocate? Even if you had a bunch of money to give some quarterback, is he really going to want to come in and say, all right, well, I'll come in and I'll be a designated runner, or I'll compete with Underwood? But I don't know. I don't think you're getting the kind of player that you hope for at quarterback. Again, I think it sounds good. Bring a bunch of guys in. I think you might get Mikey Keene or somebody of that ilk again to back up Underwood or compete with them. I think other guys, if they feel like they're good enough to compete with Underwood, they're going to go somewhere else because they want to start. That would be my
that's just it, Denny. What level of guy are you talking about, though? I'm not talking about maybe the top tier kid to compete, but if you got $300,000, you throw at a kid who was a starter like Central Florida. I looked at that kid's film. I'd be real happy to get that kid. I forget his name. Somebody had him on our list, the Central Florida quarterback. If we get him, I don't know what, but you're right. No one said elite. You're absolutely right. But when you're going to run the hell out of your quarterback, there was a difference between Braxton Miller, JT Barrett, and Cardell Jones. There was a difference between all 3 of them. But Urban had all 3 of them on his roster.
Well, for some reason, Ohio State's able to get 5-star quarterbacks.
Well, I get it, but why the hell can't we?
Well,
that comes with how good of a salesman you are, Danny, and how you talk to guys. That's why Whittingham, that's what you got to be able to do. You got money. You got Michigan, man. There's guys that might want to be a part of that. And if you explain to them, look, this is what we run. And I'm fired up for Kerry Combs. I've said it. You guys heard me talk. I know Kerry from 1985.
Yeah.
Kerry Combs, and I'm going to tell you, Denny, did you see our kick return against Texas?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it was coincidence. Okay. I think Kerry Combs was a factor. Kerry Combs is a damn good coach. I've watched that dude coach. I've known him when he was coaching high school football. He's a fired up, players will love him kind of guy. Okay. He's a darn good coach. So he's got his analysts. So you've got one paid guy as the secondary coach, but you have an analyst. Which one was this? Is it the Tyler Stockton? Is he the safety guy?
He's a safety guy. Yeah, if you look at his, he's got a pretty good resume. He's
he's the guy that is an analyst, and he will work with the secondary guy. So you have 2 guys coaching the secondary. You've got Denham will work with Espo. So you've got 2 guys working there, or a guy helping him. So those are analysts. You've got a guy with Harding, Lynch, who's an analyst, someone working with receivers. So it looks like Soup is gone. My buddy's gone, but you got Fred Jackson coming back. Freddie's been there since Fielding Yost. And then you got Detmer, who will work with Beck. So you got a lot of good analysts that are proven analysts. These guys know and respect. And we're up and running when it comes to coaching, Denny. There's not no real feeling out, where Whittingham has to, take a look at how this guy coaches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the key here is Beck, the combination of Beck and Detmer. Detmer as an analyst, people are like, well, he's going to be a dedicated quarterback coach. Michigan had, with Lindsey, who had, by the way, developed Drake May. So he had that on his resume. Maybe this combination is going to be better than Kasula and Lindsey and whoever else Michigan had as their analysts for a quarterback. But, I would say that at least heading in that, Lindsey was more decorated than this group. But, but also probably the biggest thing with Underwood is he's just getting a year older. So these guys are in position. He's got all that experience as well. So he, these guys might do a great job with him.
Yeah. And, I didn't play the position, but Corey Detmer was a good player. He'll know all the little things about technique and footwork and throwing and releasing. And, how much can you change a guy? There's a lot of coach quarterbacks that, they have crazy, unique releases. I don't know, but.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think you've hit on the key. Will they try to change him? Because right now he was running around. It was schoolyard, different platforms, arm angles, back of the foot. So he's special that way, but also it led to a bunch of interceptions. Can you harness the good with him running around and yet get him to throw in the pocket? This is not true from KJ. He says Trinidad Chambliss wasn't the starter this season.
There you go. That's great thinking by old Lane.
No, but he was great at Ferris State.
Yeah, he was great at Ferris State, but that's the kind of kid I'm talking about that you bring in as your backup.
Oh, okay.
You go get a guy, you could probably get him cheap. I'll give Lane the greatest thing about Lane Kiffin since he was at Florida Atlantic and the guy always had a quarterback. Always. You're right, Myers. It was before the NIL era. So that's even better planning. So you have the vision. That's the leader's job, man. Have the vision to go get, Lane Kiffin found this guy at Ferris State, man. They're playing in it for a championship, man. So that's just good, planning and preparation. And Scott, where do you think Bryce would rank amongst all the top quarterbacks in the portal, Denny? The kid from Florida, kid from TCU. Indiana's loading up. You see what Indiana's doing? They got Michigan State's probably best player, the receiver. They got the starting quarterback from TCU. They're trying to get one of the top edge players. So we got to match that, man. But I just wonder where you think
he wouldn't be the top guy. I don't think he'd be the top 3, but maybe definitely in the top 10, maybe in the top 5.
Well, it's interesting conversation, man. But
would you have him inside the top 5, or do you think automatically it's easy to come up with 5?
I don't know. It depends. See again, Danny. There you go. This is how you have to answer this question. Can Bryce be if you want to run your quarterback, he may be more productive for what you want to run than the kid from TCU. You want to throw it more like Cignetti does. It's different. But if you want to run, because I've read where he ran his quarterbacks like 300 and some times in the last 2 years. Whittingham.
Just to clear up, I do have an asterisk next to the strength and conditioning coach. I put that because it's not official, but it's expected to be official anytime. So that's
he's been with them forever. Danny, that's just I've met our guy Truss, took over for Big Ben.
Yeah. And
it's just, God, it just makes me sick that the dude was so fired up to have that job. And now he's on the street, man. But
yeah.
Danny, the value of a quarterback depends on your system in a big way too. So that's something to consider, Lamar Jackson compared to, our guy in Detroit, Goff. They're two totally different quarterbacks. What do you want your system to be? They're both great if you got the right system.
Right.
What the hell do you want it to be? So we need to continue to play zone defense and mix in complex coverages. Please no heavy man. Ohio State will smoke that. I haven't. I've read what the coordinator believes in, and he believes in everything. Man zone, all the different stuff, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes and defends Ohio State with man coverage. What do you do? But in general, they believe in giving a lot of stuff, putting the offense in conflict.
All right. Well, are we ready to look at some? You got some.
Danny, I got some other things. Something that really did you want to get into the Ohio State game, Miami? You want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, let it fly. I watched it.
I just thought it was interesting that I was never a big believer in Cristobal. I always thought he was a good recruiter. He brought in good players, but I didn't think he did a great job scheming it up, coaching them up. And he's really I give the guy credit. He went and got a good defensive. He got that defensive coordinator from like South Dakota or something. People think you got to get your guys from some big school. It ain't always like that, man. There's really great coaches at small schools, but he's got a real good defensive coordinator. And you look at that pick six. That was coached up, man. You could say it was coached up. It was a dumb formation by them. They're so predictable in that formation. And Mario went and got a good quarterback. So I'm looking at that, and it's you got to bring the right players in, man. You got to spend your money wisely, and well,
it was so different than when Michigan played. And Michigan got no pressure on saying, and Miami was all over them, and it was just a stark contrast from Michigan to the U watching that game.
Yeah, and then Indiana, God, you just look at.
That was a machine. I've
said this. If I'm coaching at Michigan, I'm looking at their damn defense because they do unique stuff, and people don't do a good job blocking it. Signetti he's got a good defensive coordinator. I would put that defense in, and some of the stuff they do that people having trouble blocking, and I would work on it this spring because we play them. We got Penn State coming in. Penn State went out and hired the guy from USC, so we'll see that it's same weak wings defense. But that was impressive what they did to Alabama. Good quarterback play, physically. Denny, it gets to the point though. Getting back to some of these, if I'm coaching now, I'm thinking like, okay, I bring these kids in. I bring these players in like Sprague, Guarnera. And you develop young guys. Now, old school way, you want to develop guys, do everything you can to get them reps. You know what I mean? Get young guys reps to develop them so they can play for you. And it's almost to the point now where it's like, I don't know how much you really want to develop young guys because once they get marketable, they're just going to pack their stuff or ask a big. You know what I mean? It's like these coaches have to juggle that conflict of developing guys. Because you're padding their resume, which is eventually you're going to have to now pay for, where someone else wants to pay for it. Does that make sense? I mean, it's a totally different mindset from a coaching standpoint when you look at developing the youth in your roster, because you're going to end up having to pay for it if the kid starts to get some good film and proves himself as a player.
Well, you're going to get good film also at the spring game, so maybe you don't want to, televise that thing or put too many guys out there because everybody can get out there and say, yeah, boy, we're really looking for a right guard. Michigan's got some depth. I still think you bring in as many talented recruits as you can, and you pay the ones that look like that they're going to be stars for you, and the other ones – sure, they can stay, but you almost have to expect that they're going to bolt.
Yeah, I think with Jaden Davis, though, they brought him in, they looked at him for 2 years, and they said, look, man, we're not throwing you off the team. We just got a scholarship for you, no money. I think that's how that conversation went. It's like, you're just, you probably didn't, they don't take the guy off a scholarship. But I think our offense, you watch the Baltimore Ravens, you're going to see a lot out of that type of offense, I think, from Ann Arbor, man. What else, Denny? I'm hoping Kyle allows players to come in to practice. That's one thing I'm getting some good feedback on that's going to happen.
Good. I think you should allow selected media to go in there too.
Yeah, who do you think our backup quarterback is right now on the roster? We can't even tell you. It's one of them freshmen, right?
One of the freshmen or Mikey Keene.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there is on the roster. So a true freshman or a sixth-year medical guy who didn't play at all last year because of a shoulder.
Yeah.
Or a transfer portal. You didn't mention the Ole Miss Georgia game. That was a hell of a game. And Chambliss was the one that started that one. As much as you watch Bryce Underwood and you say, oh, let's have him throw everything from the pocket. Let's have him stand there and deliver the ball. And then you watch Chambliss, he's doing 360, he's passing the ball, no luck, going all the way back to the goal line. Some of that, these quarterback coaches, it's pretty interesting. What do? You've got Underwood, who's got that kind of game where he could just run all around parking lot stuff. He could just be amazing. But, how, can you have him do all of that? And can he stand in the pocket and throw the football with, just delivery?
There's a lot of rollout stuff with Utah's offense, and he's a perfect example, man. The kid's played a lot of big time game footballs. So, but Denny, I'm ready to look at this film if you're ready.
Well, I don't see it up there, Scar, so you have to put it up there.
How about, you know what? I got to hit the, I'm sorry.
Well, I know, I'll just tell everyone, Scar got a new monitor. So, he's got all this new stuff. While you're working at that, I can tell everyone it's a great time with the transfer portal and the coaches and everything else in the new year and the new team. And, basketball. You can get 50% off the Maize and Blue Review with the Ultimate Fan Bundle. You get the Maize and Blue Review plus On3 plus Rivals, all of that. You get a complimentary year of The Athletic. Get that done. Go to on3.com. There you go. Now you're excited. Now you're ready to go, and you are good to go when it comes down to it. Also, tomorrow, the Michigan basketball team is back in action. I saw Dusty May today. He says Morez Johnson Jr. is one of his favorite players he's ever coached already. And he's only had him for, 13 games. After the game tomorrow, the Michigan post-game live show. That is after every Michigan basketball game this year.
Do you have the film up now, Denny?
I don't see it.
You still don't see it, huh?
No.
Okay, what the hell is going on, man?
I'll take a look. We might tease it for, maybe you'll have to come back on Wednesday or Friday, or we'll just be looking at it in 2 weeks or something. That's all right. It's all good. There it is. Oh, what was my scale for Bryce Underwood this season? There it is.
How about now?
I see the film now.
Okay, all right. Quick cut, Danny. Don't forget our boys hooking us up.
Oh, yeah, quick cut. We're all about
all right, here, look, here. Hey, this is our base defense, man. These are two big edge guys. You call it whatever you want, but there's 3 down linemen. And what's he got? He's got a 1-back set. Look, when you watch this offensive line, man, I see athletic dudes, maybe not as big as Sprague, but they all can run and pull. This is a great film. I mean, this is our offensive coordinator going against our defensive coordinator. There's your 3-man rush, but look, you got no contain. There's downsides to it, and there's an athletic quarterback making things happen.
Can you enlarge that screen a little bit more, Scar, over there in the right-hand corner? I see that you. There you
that's
go.
As big as I got it, man.
Oh, okay. All right. No, that's all right.
I don't know what.
It's okay.
But there's a lot of shifting. I'm watching this guy, and Danny, he never comes out in the same formation twice, man. And look, there's no contain there. And as your 3-man rush, we talked about that. We've got about maybe 15 plays. What is this stunt here? So here's their nickel package. Okay, the same thing we would do, except this guy would be standing up. It's really the only difference. See how all three of these guys' hands are on the ground, Danny?
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy here probably doesn't drop in coverage much at all. So this guy would be the only one that'll drop, and he might bring up. So that's really, from just looking at it, his nickel package has 3 down defensive linemen opposed to Wink, Minter, and McDonald. And he likes a lot of jet sweep. One thing, you defend Michigan now. We got a lot of jet sweep, and here's quarterback run off of this. So now we're pulling dudes, man. We're pulling backside guard and tackle, and he's running quarterback power. That's orgy package, right? But this is his starting quarterback, so he doesn't interchange dudes. You could see Bryce running this play. Like, watch how he pulls these guys. These are athletic. I'm not sure who he pulls here. Backside guard and tackle. Yeah, backside guard and tackle. Look how athletic they are. Can Sprague pull like that? You know what I mean? Those are decisions. And can we get some of those tackles in the portal or someone like that? Again, I had Sprague here, question mark. Can he do some of these things? Here's empty quarterback power. So he's running the same damn play. Running back-to-back. He's empty formation, quarterback power. He likes to run his quarterback. So get used to it. And Bryce he'd be looking at this film, man. Do I want to run the ball so much? Here's short yardage. Here's our base defense here. This is Michigan's base defense. 2 stand-up edge players. 3 down defensive linemen. He's got 2 linebackers in the game. Utah is in again, here's some jet. So now he runs the jet sweep. They're overplaying quarterback keep. And the kid makes a hell of a play. Good adjustment by the defense. But that's our defense there. Not a big change.
So this is Jay Hill, Michigan's defensive coordinator.
That's right, Danny. This is a perfect game for us. We got our offensive coordinator going against our defensive coordinator. You can't get a better game.
No.
I'm seeing a lot of jet sweep, man. I ran jet sweep as a coach. I defended it. It's a pain. It always stretches the defense. Why do I have him circled? Now he's pulling the backside. They don't block it right. They don't block it good. So what did he do? What did the defensive coordinator do to create this? They're in our base. That's our base defense, fellas. There's Derek Moore. And there's Barham right there. That's our defense with 3 down linemen. So it looks like he's maybe in some type of man, though. These guys look like they're anyway, that's our front. And does he run a stunt here? And he just beats this guard. This edge player beats the guard, beats the back, beats everything. So that's that. All right, let's moving along.
The blue team, Michigan's offense.
Look at the size of this dude, Denny. This is a tight end. I mean, this guy looks like a guard, but they actually throw the ball to him. I mean, he looks like he has 300-pound. He wants big tight ends, man. I mean, they actually throw the ball to this kid. Maybe this is the time they throw it to him. But you tell me how big you think that kid is. And he blocks.
Over 300.
Yeah, he'll block. That kid will block. So maybe he has a different prototype for what he wants. He wants, he's okay with a 300-pounder that might not be much of a pass threat. Let's look at this formation. What do we got here? There's a big dude here. Look at this. Guard, tackle, tight end, big 300 some pounder, 300 pounder here. This is 40. He's a 300 pounder, 300 pounder, 300 pounder. And we're pulling tackles. We're coming out of empty. So this is an empty from. How many times have we ran the damn quarterback so far, Denny? A lot, right?
Yeah, a few times.
And here we are again. So Bryce is looking at this film, man. You know, this is Ohio State with Cardell Jones, man. So he's running influence at the top. They're running faking jet sweep at the top, right? They're faking jet at the top. These guys are pump faking like they're pulling. Everybody's running this stuff. Defense is running out of there, and he's running power back here. And they block it, and they execute it. So you got to ask yourself, Denny, if you're looking at this offense or what Beck wants, what Whittingham wants, okay, he wants guys that are athletic and can pull. Can Sprague pull like this? Can Sprague run the offense you want to run? Look at the tackle pulling out there. You know what I mean? Just because he's good in one offense doesn't mean he's going to be good for what you want. Let's watch 71 pull. Or no, this backside guard. Sorry. So anyway, decisions. What do you want? What do you want from your offensive lineman? Again, different formation now. Guy doesn't come out in the same formation twice. I mean, I'm looking at this game from the start to everything's different. Different formation. Look at the size of these dudes. Look at this 49. Look at this guy. He's 300. This guy's 300. Those are tight ends. Big tight ends. Blocking guys.
Well, here's the thing. Sprague 6'8", 320. So you're thinking, well, he's got to pull, but then he's got all these tight ends that look like they're about 6'5", 320.
Yeah. I don't know what he wants, Denny. Here's our base defense. Here's 6 offensive linemen in the game for Utah. So we're used to this. They shift to empty. So he's got 6 offensive linemen. This is not a tight end. This is number 71. And they've shifted out. So, I mean, this is different stuff, man. This is headache stuff. So he's got number 71 right here. But BYU apparently has seen it. They knew how to adjust. They have an adjustment. So they're empty. They shifted out to this funky formation. And they adjust to it. There's nothing there. They contain it. Kid should have dropped the ball, but, it's good adjustment by the defense, funky formation by the offense. Denny, are any guys, are they watching this? Do they have any thoughts about the film?
It says 1,400 are watching, so, okay. There we go. They're just listening to your pearls of wisdom.
Anyway, I like seeing all the stuff that makes a defense adjust. You get one guy misaligned, you got a big play, man. Got about 6 more plays. Okay, what's here? We got empty. Okay, it's 3rd and 17. Look what they're doing on defense now. It's 3rd and 17. Utah comes up. So Beck comes out empty. Hill is in kind of the amoeba, the funky, what are we doing? Who's coming? It's kind of walking around. And, you know what I mean, Denny?
I don't know. What is that? Was that a 5?
Well, they end up. I think they're maybe. I don't know if they're confused, but they're communicating. They're communicating right now. What are they doing? What are they in? But I thought maybe part of it was to deceive the offensive line in the protection as far as who's coming, who's dropping.
They look soft over that left guard. Looks like you could
it could be part of what they're doing here, but. That's a stunt we're familiar with. But that was 3rd and 17, and just, kind of give you an idea of what we might be seeing.
NMV says he's more impressed with the BYU defense
than the Utah offense?
Yeah.
Yeah, they appear to be smart, man. They adjust. You want to see guys that keep the ball inside the defense. They stop the run. They adjust to funky formations, and that's a sign of a good coach. They play good technique. They're not standing up. Let's take a look at this play. So it's 4th and 7 here. This looks like somewhat of a 3-3-5 deal here, Denny. You got 3 down linemen and 3 linebackers. These could be your edge guy. These guys are probably interchangeable, but it's a 3-3 look with 4th and 7 here. And what does he do? He's got 6 guys close to the line of scrimmage. And what does Utah do? They're shifting, they're talking, they're communicating. So they're changing some things. They change what they're doing. And looks like BYU won that one. But there's thinking going on. There's shifting going on. And that's what we're going to see, man.
Yeah, this game ended up being a 3-point win.
Yeah, three-point game.
BYU.
All right, here's we saw some. You don't see a lot of under center from Coach, maybe on the goal line, but again, they like jet. We see a ton of jet. We see a ton of quarterback keep, and here's the nickel formation. And then, Danny, the only difference is this player's hand is in the ground from what we've seen from our team. So. What do they do? They run in jet motion out of empty, and he gives the ball to them, and they block it well. So it's obvious. Again, if I'm talking to my team on Monday scouting report, I'm saying we got to stop jet. We got to stop quarterback keep from every formation. Ton of jet. We got to line up. We got to adjust the formation. And then when you have great players that know how to execute, and on top of, making them adjust and think, then you have something going on. Four more plays. Let's see. What's this formation? So I'm looking at the defense here. You've got a balance formation. Looks like a tight end and a tight. This is balance 2 here, 2 eligibles here. But you got a stunt here, Denny, that Wink didn't really run much of this. A little bit, but I didn't see a ton of that stunt from our. Both guys are crossing. You see that? So.
Tough part, Scar, is when you see Utah do something good. You're like, man, this defense.
I hear you, man.
Tackle better, and then and you see the defense stuffing them. You're saying this offense needs more imagination.
Yeah, look at all this empty, man. Here's 1st and 10, and here's empty with 2 tight ends. He brought his back out. And what are they doing on defense? 1st and 10. He's got base in the game. He's got 3 down linemen, 2 edge players, 2 backers in the game. That's our old base defense. And they adjust. I see a defense, Danny, that looks to be smart and adjusting to things. I see them communicating. They're looking, they're talking, they're communicating, and they get lined up right.
Is Utah good at pass protection?
That's a lot of time, and there's nobody open, and they look fine. They look okay, I guess.
It looked like a little. I got a text saying, "Where's the gap security?"
Oh, well, yeah, they look the ball outside the defense here. How'd they get outside the defense? Let's see. So they're running this is the same. Let's see. Now this player's pinned in, so part of this scheme, but he has a backer there. So this guy goes inside. That's not real sound, but he has a linebacker that, and these other guys make up for it. But it doesn't look very sound in terms of securing the edge against pass. So let's see here. This is a trips formation. And 3-1. Big fella here. Tight end back here. Back is set away to the tight end. And he looks like he's rolling out to the field. Yeah, BYU doesn't really do a good job containing, but you get a weak block by this kid here. This kid doesn't block very well. He gets run over. Kid goes inside of him, over him, through him.
Whoa.
But anyway, that was their adjustment in 31 tight. I used to call that formation. And this is a big kid here. So there's a lot of rolling out, Danny. I don't see a whole ton of just straight drop back. Do you?
I haven't seen it. No.
No, he's gonna stress the defense with the kid's legs. Here's the same formation. Now here's the exact same formation, but they saw something, and what are they doing? What did they see? And they came out in the exact same formation, hoping they'd get the same adjustment. And the coach saw something. Beck saw something, puts a guy in motion. They're talking, they're communicating, maybe going back to something to make sure what kind of coverage they're in. And they found maybe it's this secondary kid or they run the wheel route. I got the wrong kid circled. They run the wheel here on this kid. So they saw something that they checked to. You got it? The kid makes a hell of a play.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how much coaching that was. That was a great throw and catch. But Danny, that's about it for now. Are you there?
Yeah. Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, but there we are looking at Utah BYU. I'm going to look at the
yeah, here we are.
We'll look at the Nebraska game. What Utah did to Nebraska? They just confused them. They out-coached them. Then it was a perfect thing that I would want to see because I thought the talent was equal in that football game. Nebraska's talent versus Utah's talent, but Utah just did a better job with all the little things. They confused them. They schemed them. They were sound. What was that question?
This one's a point. That says everything's going to start in the weight room, and our new strength and conditioning is going to transform these guys.
Well, that's where you build your team too. You know, mentally, these guys don't. A lot of them, you're going to have a lot of new guys, but the strength coach will instill Whittingham's culture, and you know that's an extension of the head coach. Man, that strength coach is really an important person on a staff. And they're getting going in there now. Then, yeah, they're already getting in there and getting that team built, man. Danny, that's where you build your team in the weight room, man. Knocking them push-ups out together, running together.
I get it. I mean, Ben Herbert was great. He was the players looked up to him, the coaches looked up to him. He really seemed like he was a big part of Michigan having that great 3-year run. But Rich Rodriguez, you know, he was real big at his – thought he had the best strength and conditioning guy, you know. So you need all of it. You need all of it. But, yeah,
I used to work out every one of my players at least once just to see how tough they were. How far can I push them?
Oh.
You quit in the weight room, Danny, they'll quit in the fourth quarter. That's what I used to tell my guys.
Wow. I like that.
You quit on that squat rack, on that bench press, you'll quit on the field too, man.
Well, what if they're maxing out and they're giving it all and then they just can't get that?
I'm looking for. I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking.
All right.
Maxing out. What the hell is that?
I don't know.
We're going for it, man.
Yeah, I mean, you put a little. I would say put a little lighter weight on there so Coach Scar doesn't get upset when I only do 6.
You know, Danny, I used to tell my guys the old Vince Lombardi line, man. The harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. What that means is when you invest in that weight room and you invest all the working, the hitting, the lifting, the running, and then you get in the game, you ain't going to quit. You made too much of an investment. The harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. That's Lombardi. But we're fired up, man. We got a great staff, and don't get discouraged by some of these names in the portal. I just wouldn't be at all. You got to have faith that I mean, he's been in this thing for 20 years, man. He knows what's out there. They know every damn kid in the country that's in that portal that they think they could. I mean, they might have a center at some school that they think is better than Guarnera, and they might have a tackle that they think is better than Sprague. I mean, that's just where we're at, man. I'm going to end on this last note because I had it in my notes, Denny. People talk about college football, about the money and where we are, and they're discouraged. I remember, Denny, talking to Lloyd Carr with a bunch of other coaches at the camp back in like 2000 something. It was when we still played 11 games. And I remember Lloyd saying they were talking about playing 12 games. I remember him concerned about it, the direction that college football was going. You understand?
Yeah.
They were adding a 12th game. And then there was talk that same time about adding the Big Ten championship game. It was like coming down. It was big, but Lloyd was concerned about it, okay? Lloyd was concerned. I would say this, Lloyd's my friend. I'm not saying anything that but he was concerned the direction of the more and more demands on these players that, everybody's keeps squeezing them. 12 games, Big Ten championship game. Why? Now we're going to have 16 in the tournament next year. Again, that conversation a real smart guy had with a bunch of young high school coaches 25 years ago, 20-some years ago. And that's where we are right now.
All right. Good job. Good job. I'm with you on the portal. You get fired up. You got to remember, you got the out and you got the in. So you got to see where it all lands. It comes down to it in free agency.
Have faith in our coach, man. It's all good, Denny. Go blue.
There he is. The Scar, the telestrator.